I'm like, is that car behind us? Like behind us? He's like, yeah. I go, did it just stop? He's like, yeah. And so Aaron's getting mad. So he gets out and he walks over there and I can hear the whole conversation. He's like 15 yards from us, this car. And he's like, he says, the property owners, are you so-and-so, the property owner's name? This guy that we lease it from, he just closed in January on the piece. And, Aaron's like, no, I'm Aaron. He's like, oh, so-and-so told me I could be here. I could cut wood here. And,
really?
So Aaron's like, you can't be here. And you don't have permission to be here. And we're hunting here. We're going to be hunting here every day. You can't be in here. And he's like, oh, I was in here last night, cutting wood. This segment of DoD TV is brought to you by Leupold, American to the core.
Oh, hey. Oh, sorry about that. We were watching a turkey hunt. I forgot what turkey hunting looked like.
Yeah, well, we're not good enough. So we had to resort to watching Mark live on Facebook. He's live again with Coondog. These have been really fun to watch so far.
It's cool to see what their strategies are, what their tactics are. And it looks like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, those guys chasing down turkeys. They make turkey hunting look so easy.
They definitely do. It's an art, and it's interesting. We should probably intro 100% Wild Podcast.
That's right. That's what this is.
You're Tim.
Yeah, Tim Chelsvik. You're Matt Drury.
I am.
It's episode 207. We're talking turkeys today.
It's interesting. I've been catching a little bit of heat lately from a certain group of people, not only online, but then in our email inbox from the website. And they're just like, man, you guys can't kill turkeys without decoys. And it's like, man, Mark and Terry have been hunting turkeys since the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, I'd say. Mm-hmm. They've killed turkeys in every way, shape, or form that's legally possible. You know what I mean? They don't really have anything to prove to anybody. And just yesterday, I had this guy, he was emailing us, and he was just harping on the fact that we're not real hunters because we're using decoys. If you need,
some of us aren't real hunters. Mark and Terry are different.
Mark and Terry, they aren't, especially
untouchable.
Mark on Terry. Yeah, I mean, come on. So, I respectfully replied like, hey, you should check out some of our library in DeerCast, turkey hunting is how we got our start. King of the Spring, Sound of the Spring, Longbeards of the Spring, all these titles, Longbeard Madness, there's 20 something titles of Longbeard Madness. Like all that's in the DoD TV library and DeerCast. And they've used these are some of the pioneers of turkey hunting as it's known today.
Yeah.
And that's not tooting their horn. They were in the industry as it was in its infant stage, and they've developed along with it. And, I told the guy, it's like, hey, we are partnered with Avian, and they're title sponsors of the show, the Avian X Turkey Tour. So of course we are using a lot of decoys, but realistically, these guys can kill a turkey. Mark can call a turkey across a river. He could call across a Rio Grande if he wanted to. I mean, the guy is unbelievably talented.
Yeah, not to mention his wins on the calling circuit and the natural voice calling competitions that he's won. Like, he doesn't even need a call, and he can call them in. So, it's funny when I get that kind of feedback, and there's a Instagram, one of those hater pages that's been all over us, not only for making bad calls, but for not being able to kill a turkey without a decoy. And it's like, God, come on, man. Like, can you hear the same thing? Can you hear what I'm hearing? Like, when these guys are calling, when you have Paul Butsky and Coondog's a great caller, and heck, Wade Forrest, Perry, they're all good callers. These guys are hunting literally every day for like 2 months, across several states. Like, these guys have honed their craft. Hey, if it was them talking about you or I, okay, I get it. I can take I can take the crap. Like, we're not great turkey hunters. Totally accurate. But come on, these guys out there doing it, they're at another level. And I'm sure they don't even know that we're getting this kind of crap. I don't pass it along to them, but sure.
It's like, come on, different level.
Yeah. It just like, and I find myself being crappy about other people, and people kill bigger deer than I do. Like, it's just kind of human nature to like try to find faults with someone, to set yourself up here. And we're just, as great as people can be, we can also be pretty crappy.
Well, that's the weird part. It's like, what's wrong with us? I mean, like as hunters, our faction, our group, like we're supposed to be, I get it. Like, hey, if somebody's out there and they're doing something that's harming what we all love and like they're a bad representation.
Yeah.
I
that's
get
a
it.
slam dunk.
Call them out, like we should band together, but this stuff. Oh, here's this Longbeard. He's finally popping out.
We're trying to do something here,
I'm
Matt.
still watching this live. I'm sorry.
I want to watch a show that's actually entertaining.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I had to start with that. That's kind of my gripe for the day. It's
it's interesting you bring that up because I've been doing some reflection on a situation I have with a buddy who has, who I've invited onto some of my properties, has began hunting them without me, kind of made a relationship with the owners, and then started bringing his friends out there.
Great.
And as I listen to some of these original guys, that like especially when we had Michael Waddell on a few episodes ago talking about how important the people are. Like the hunting is important. Obviously we're passionate about that, but don't let the hunting destroy what's really important. And that's people. Yeah. The friendships, the relationships that you have with these people. And there's still some accountability that has to be had in my particular situation. I think I need to take a few steps down, like emotionally about my scenario, because I don't want to lose this guy as a friend or burn a bridge there over a deer.
Hard to do though, when spots are hard to come by and you're in a situation where, coon dog just shot it.
Ooh. It's simple.
He's doing the stinky
pow,
leg.
baby, pow.
Funny. So anyhow,
I
better mute this.
We got a show within a show.
Yeah. So anyways, you're in a difficult spot because, like you're out there grinding, trying to find a spot to hunt to begin with. So when you find one, and a lot of it's knocking on doors or friendships or, it's permission hunting. It's not necessarily a lease where you have a contract.
People owe me nothing.
Yeah. So I could see where there's an emotional aspect to that. You're like, God, man, I worked so hard to get this spot. I invite a friend, and that's part of the overall issue. One of the issues that our hunting community has, right? Like finding a spot, you want to keep it to yourself. Okay. You didn't do that. You invited a buddy because he didn't have a spot. And then now he's hunting with other friends on your spot. Like that's why people don't want other people on their spot.
There's not a whole lot in it for me in that case. Although 1 year he did scout a deer kind of by accident. He saw a big deer, and he actually doesn't like to shoot big bucks. He just likes to have a little meat for his freezer. So there's no competition as far as that goes. But he did say, like, I saw a really nice 10 out here, and I went out and hunted it the next day and killed that deer. So, it's nice, and he has been a help, and he's a great friend and been a great mentor to me over the years. And there's also the aspect of like, respect my wishes, because I did spell out to him, like, please don't go out there and hunt during this time. And then when I do kill, or after this particular time, it's okay to go out there, but try to stay away from this area. And just like, a part of me thinks he just still doesn't understand. Part of why I'm doing this is for my job. Like this is part of my credibility as someone that's in the outdoor industry, and I need as much credibility as I can possibly get.
Gonna need more.
Right. And my friends aren't always helping in that way. So
we're not always helping ourselves.
No, we're not. We've had some close calls on turkeys so far this year, but again, I'm archery hunting them. So I know that's fraught with shame, and it's fraught with excess difficulty.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, it's been I know you've gone out a decent amount. I've only gone out opening day at Dad's farm with Cam, and then one other mid-morning to a lease here that I just picked up not far from the studio, and hunted like 3 hours, that day. So that's it. I really don't have any complaints. I haven't put in the effort yet. And it's just a lot going on, so I haven't had a chance to. So hopefully we'll both be able to get out and find some success here in the next few days. And
with it warming up and getting sunnier, I just think we'll hear more gobbling, and it makes it a little easier. Yeah. It's funny because watching those lives, like, I've really enjoyed watching all the lives that Mark and the crew has done on the Drury Outdoors Facebook page.
But then finally I watched one the other day. It was Forrest. Had just 4 longbeards coming in. I think they were up in Iowa, and man, they're just slowly working in. They all gobble at the same time. You know, it's all on camera. And finally I told Mark and Terry, that was the best live I've seen yet. And I go, and it's the first time I've got FOMO, fear of missing out. I was like, man, I want that
for me.
I really it got me, my heart pumping. And that's the fun part of watching the lives. The not fun part of it is like the envy. It's like, man,
no doubt.
I wish I was up in camp, and it's not that I couldn't be. They'd say, hey, come on. It's just that personal reasons I don't go up there. I take the kids to school in the morning. You know, you and I are in the same boat in that regard. Young families, I try to stick around and save up some of that lost time for the fall.
Yeah, because there's been a few mornings where I've got out before I've come into work hunting locally. But even then, like my wife has to run the morning show by herself. And like one day my son got in the car without a jacket on and without his lunch, and it really disrupts things. So I try to be very strategic in the time I spend away.
It's interesting because if I look back and, you know, when I was growing up and dad was never around for those, like it was always, the mom was always there for our generation and beyond, obviously. And it's just, things have changed so much. You know,
it's spread. The responsibility of running the household and bringing in income is completely spread out.
Yeah. Both parents are typically, a lot of times, both parents are working, and both parents are trying to, you know, to share duties and getting the kids where they need to be or do what they got to do at home. And it just, I don't know, man. I always think back and I can't imagine how hard it was for mom back when we were growing up, because dad was not around. He was hunting. I mean, you know what? And when he wasn't hunting, I mean, he was, you know, he has a construction company. He was building these companies. He was gone all the time working for us. You know what I mean? And so, you know, you put it in perspective, but it's a different time now. And I don't think a marriage holds up quite like it used to if you're doing those things now.
Yeah, 100%. And back then there wasn't social media to where moms could commiserate, and see like, oh, I'm not the only one that's really struggling with this. And this isn't the only one this is hard for. Now, at least there's at least a little bit of a network out there for people to connect.
Misery loves company.
Yeah. Because when you feel like you're alone, it's such an isolating feeling.
Probably doesn't help with social media when the dad is out and he's putting all of his turkey hunting and deer hunting exploits on Instagram stories. and I see you were having fun.
It looks like fun, but I mean, I don't know about you, but a lot of times my hunting is not fun. It's
most of the time
drudgery. So I was out Sunday morning and called till about 9 o'clock. I didn't hear a single gobble, nothing going on. So I thought, well, I'm going to go out and kind of, the farm where I was hunting is kind of broken up into different pastures with tree lines separating them. So I sometimes like to sneak down through the tree line and peek out into these big long pastures and see if there's anything out there strutting. I didn't see anything. And it just struck me. It's like fishing in a lake where there's no fish. You can call, but if there's no bird within a mile of you, it doesn't matter.
And if they don't gobble, you have no idea where they're at. I mean, that's when turkey hunting isn't fun, when they're not gobbling or replying, or you didn't get them on the roost to know where they're at. Generally speaking, it's like, man, it's a shot in it's a needle in a haystack. So you find yourself just sitting somewhere and waiting, and like deer hunting turkeys is not a fun thing, in my opinion. Like I got a lot of stuff I could be doing, and sitting there with my thumb up my butt isn't one of them. I mean, but for some people, that's what they love about hunting, because it is just time away. I don't know. I have a hard time sitting still like that and knowing that I got a billion other things that we could be doing.
Yeah.
You know? So
Saturday I sat in the rain the entire, it was in a blind, but I was still in the rain. I saw a flock of hens come in. I literally forgot what a turkey looked like until they showed up. And at this point, I've kind of forgotten what a gobble sounds like. That my first day, opening day.
I didn't see anything, just struck me. It's like fishing in a lake, but there's no fishing.
Whoa.
It's a ghost in the machine.
Siri just jumped in, and
jeez,
we didn't ask for her input.
We have a third host of the show.
Yeah. Creepy.
But my opening day, I had a bird gobbling right off the roost, and he gobbled all the way into 43 yards. It was awesome. And I thought, oh, it's going to be a good season. And I haven't heard much gobbling since. Yeah. It's crazy how things can go so high and then so low.
I haven't seen a longbeard yet this year.
That's sad.
A couple jakes, few hens, but that's it. Yeah.
Would you shoot a jake?
No.
Yeah.
I have no desire to. I mean, I love eating turkey, but I mean, there's so few longbeards to begin with. I don't know. It's just something that, you know, I'm 40 now. I've been hunting since I was probably, no judging, Tim. You're older than me.
It's hard telling.
No, you're getting pretty gray.
I identify as someone who's 32.
Well, you know, I've been hunting since, I don't know, I was probably 10 or 11. I don't know how old, 12 maybe. I don't remember. But my point is, I've never once thought about shooting a Jake because that was not something, especially back in the late 80s, early 90s, that would have been really frowned upon as the populations were trying to grow and increase.
Sure.
And you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just not something to think about. I wouldn't look down on somebody for doing it. I'd rather not shoot one.
Sure.
Hopefully there's more next year. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't care about age or any of that stuff. I would just like to kill a longbeard.
Yeah.
You know, a mature bird.
Yeah.
So
I hear ya.
Guess that is age. So I just
You're a trophy turkey hunter.
discredited just exactly what I just said.
You just talked yourself out of a lie.
Did we just become best friends? Yep. That was for me and me.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're comfortable with yourself. That's important.
Yep.
I probably would shoot a Jake if it got down to like the last few days of season, especially since I'm archery hunting and I still think like it's
different level of difficulty.
Exactly. In fact, that was the first bird I ever shot. The first bird I ever killed was with my bow because I didn't grow up turkey hunting. We just didn't have them in the numbers up in central Illinois, north central Illinois, where I grew up. No one I knew hunted turkeys. Like my dad, my dad's friends. It just wasn't a thing. But when I finally started hunting them back in the 2000s, I was bow hunting them. And the first morning I went out, I had somehow mouth called a group of Jakes in.
I've heard you mouth call. I'm shocked.
Right, they were desperate. My bow's in my lap. I'm just sitting underneath a cedar tree. And I'm like, these Jakes are probably at 15 yards, and somehow I got to get my bow up.
I was gonna say that's not
stupid.
Easy.
I just set the Jakes down, or the decoys down, walked back and got underneath the cedar tree on the fence line.
You were hunting over a decoy.
Here we go.
Not a hunter.
Can't even call.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't, but these Jakes still show. I still remember their heads bopping through the cedars as they were coming in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
I'm gonna do this.
And I rolled up onto my knees and came to full draw. And they started, bobbing their heads and looking at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking it's like metacognition the whole time. I'm at full draw and there's a turkey behind my pin there, and I'm going to let it fly. And I did, and I spined him and he just dropped and I couldn't believe it. It's one of those things where you're thinking, maybe this isn't as hard as people make it out to be.
Big deal.
It was a complete just gimme. Like, God decided not to poke me in the eye that morning and gave me those birds.
Been paying for it ever since.
Yes. The rest of my career has not been as great as that morning. But it is such a weird, you just go from there's like feast or famine. There just seems to be no in between. Yeah. At least for me.
Yeah, man. I can remember back those first, for whatever reason, when I first started hunting with Dad, it took years of turkey hunting and years of deer hunting before I killed my first of either.
Which I think is great.
Believe me, we worked for it. And there was always the caveat that we were trying to film, and because those are the early days of the company.
Yeah.
I've never in my life, and I've said this before in the podcast, I've never gone hunting without a camera guy before. And so I don't know any other way. I just don't. I'm sure Taylor, she's gone a couple times here in the recent years without filming it. But in general, we both grew up on camera hunting. Well, it always added, back in those days, the cameras were so big and they had big tripods, and the level of production, even though looking back now, it looks like it was low grade, but back then it was really high, high quality stuff.
Sure.
And they were trying to get the perfect setup and all that stuff. And it was hindrance to the hunt. And so two things happened. One, we had a lot of opportunities that never came to fruition. And then two, I grew up hating that camera because I never could kill anything. I just it was always like, no, it's not on camera, or no, it's, happened too fast, or, you know what I mean? There was always an excuse. And finally, the point of this is my first turkey kill. So back, this would have been probably, I'd say, the early 90s. And we were hunting in the St. Genevieve area where I grew up, and where we all grew up. And so we're hunting with Bill Carl, which was at the time, he was my oldest sister, Kim. It was her boyfriend for a long time. And he had a family farm, and man, they had the most beautiful setup. And I bet if I knew how to paint, I could paint a picture. You know how hunters, you just remember.
Just emblazoned in your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. And he just had this beautiful bottom that was green and kind of a little creek running through it. And always had a lot of turkeys, always had a lot of longbeards, and we could never get on them. And finally, I'll never forget it because it was Dad, it was Billy Carl and myself, and Dad's finally, like, it was raining, and we heard the turkeys or spotted them or something. And this is a different setup, but at the same farm. And finally Dad's like, let's just say, screw it. Let's leave the camera back, which was an odd feeling. Even at that point, I had hunted probably 4 or 5 years, and the camera was always there. So we left the camera because it was raining. That was kind of
I was going to ask,
it was like back then it was really like, you had one camera, it was gigantic and better not get it wet, So he's like, screw it. Let's just go and see what we can do. So we belly crawled a couple 100 yards down a fence line and set up, and we killed my first turkey. It was a man too. I mean, it was like 28 pounds, 11, 12 inch beard. It was a big turkey. We got him mounted, the whole deal. But I just remember, like, I have photos of that deer. We don't have any video of it. I have photos of that turkey, and it's soaking wet. I'm in the back of Dad's truck. We're in a garage. It was just, a picture of me sitting in the back of his truck, and the classic,
hillbilly
shot
picture.
Exactly. And I'll never forget that moment, and since then, a few years later, Billy passed away in a pretty tragic car accident right there near the same area. And it was a sad deal. And we were a real close family friend. Even after he and my sister were no longer dating, it was just a close family friend. And those are the kind of memories that you just never, that like you said, you just don't forget them. I could paint the picture.
Oh yeah.
And those types of things are just like, man, that's why you go back to your story of like, and what Michael Waddell was saying, why do you do it, or why you love to do it? It's those memories that you just, that are etched forever. And so as we try to pass it on, or you invite your friend, you're hoping that he makes those memories. And then you got to kind of step back and say, all right, selfishly, this was my spot. I hate that he's here and hunting it without me, with other friends, but hey, maybe did they make new memories, and glass half full kind of side of it, and, pat on your back for introducing a spot for him to be able to do that, maybe. So it's just another way to look at it. But man, those stories, those times back, those are my fondest memories. I'd much rather turkey hunt than deer hunt. The shame of it all is I get less time to turkey hunt than deer hunt because the season's so short and life is what it is, and you just don't have the time anymore. But man, that's why you do it, right?
100%. And that's something else I've been thinking about this season is like, I would like to be a better turkey hunter because I still feel like I at least have a concept, like a perspective of what makes deer do what they do. But when I had this, and I realized, like, you get a bird that hangs up, you could throw everything, the kitchen sink at them, and they're not going to come in. I keep thinking there's some trick, what would Mark do in this situation?
He aggressively keep calling. It's amazing. Like, I always feel like it's like, man, he's calling a lot, but man, he draws those turkeys in.
Yeah. And my buddy Chance Hollingshed, he's been turkey hunting his whole life. I've seen him turn a bird that was walking away and get him to come back. And I'm just like, well, I didn't have all the years of growing up around turkey hunting to kind of watch and observe. The season is so short. That's really because I spent a ton of time deer hunting, and I've been able to kind of create this understanding. But man, you just get such a small window to turkey hunt. Now, like, I have no handicaps that no one else doesn't have. It's just the time that I decide to put it. It's all about you. It's all about where I want to invest my time. So it's no one else's fault but my own. But I've realized I've just not spent the time really focusing on them. And then it's frustrating in that moment of truth where it's like, I wish I had another move to put on this
or
thing.
watching these lives and thinking, man, that's where the jealousy comes in. Like, man, I wish I could go out there. Man, I wish I could be out there. And I kind of wonder if that's why we catch some flack sometimes. Most of it's positive, the feedback, but you get a little bit of hate here and there. And you wonder, it may be something as simple as that jealousy of, man,
100%.
A guy that's working nonstop and doesn't get the time to go out, and he just, or doesn't have a spot, or name that reason, why he can't go. Yeah. And there might be a little bit of a hint of jealousy there. And so you see it coming out in the form of kind of the crappy message on Facebook, but neither here nor there. It's just one of those things where I think we'd all, if we can get out there more and more, we would. And one of these days I'm going to regret, now I'm 40. I can't believe the last 20 years, how quickly it's gone by. Mm-hmm. It feels like I just got out of college. I've been here 17 years. And in 17 years, I could probably count on a few hands how many times I've turkey hunted that. So, fortunate in the fact that a lot of times it's short and sweet because I've hunted with Mark or Terry. Yeah. But then in the same token, we've talked about in great length on the podcast, I learned more, like you, deer hunting in the last 5 or 6 years because I've been on my own more in the last 5 or 6 years. So you can't figure it out until you do it on your own. It's like in school, it's like in anything, you got to put in your 10,000 hours, and I haven't put them in yet for turkey, not nearly enough. I've been more or less on a guided hunt. And so it's like, all right, I know I can call mouth call. I got a lot of work to do, but slate and box call and those types of things, I can figure all that out, but I'm not going to get good enough to figure out how to kill these turkeys. Like I have finally, I felt like scratch the surface of knowing how to kill a deer until, I'm going to my own piece. And because anytime I'm at Dad's, I'm hunting with Dad. Sure. I love those memories. Like, it's always fun, but I'm not going to call when he's calling.
Nor would he let you.
For 2 reasons. 1, he's better. 2, he would make fun of me. Right. A lot. And he has. So
that's one of the things I find interesting about you is that you have a desire to do it on your own. Like, you're not resting on the family name. Cause I've seen you, like I've watched you as you try to dial in your properties, and it would be just as easy for you to say, Dad, could I come up and hunt and kind of rely on that? But I can see, like, you want to figure this out for you. Like, you want this skill set and this knowledge base to be your own.
I think about Mark and Terry and their skill set, and when they got good at, so they hunted obviously their whole lives, but they got proficient at what they did during their early mid 90s. And then with deer hunting in the 2000s, especially, and it's the time they put into it. And so I thought, well, how old were they when they did? The Dad was in his 30s and 40s and Mark in his 20s and 30s. And I think, okay, it's not too late, cause I'm trying to compare myself to basically experts in their field, which isn't fair to anybody. And I think people get wrapped up in that at home as well. When you're watching this stuff on TV or on social media, it's not fair to compare yourself or what you're killing. There is no comparison. These guys are at a different level because of the time and effort and money and everything else that they put into it.
It's part of a business too.
It's a machine at this point. So I got to try to step back from that, but also know that it is our business. So it's twofold. It's one, I want to hone a craft. 2, financially speaking, there's reasons why I need to get better quicker. You know what I mean? And 3, ultimately for the longevity of the company, I think of it in those ways. Like, all right, Mark and Terry got a long life ahead of them, but they're not going to always do it, and I can't just, if the day ever comes where they say, I'm going to scale back a little bit, I can't just step into a role that I didn't earn. And that's the way I look at it. Like, I better get good at these things before all of a sudden that day comes. And like I said, 20 years is just past us. I better get good at these things or better at them before the day comes. And it's like, all of a sudden,
your turn.
It's my turn. And so I do think about that kind of stuff a lot. And I don't know if it's the right way to look at it or not, but that is how I perceive it.
I think it is. And I was listening to the Michael Waddell, Tyler Jordan podcast, and Tyler was echoing a lot of the same things that you're doing. Like, I can't rely on my dad's legacy. I can't rely on his cachet to get me through life. Like I got to get this stuff figured out and I've got to perform. And in some cases the bar may be higher because I've got to prove to people that I'm not doing that.
And it's interesting because Toxie's boys have grown up in the industry, Bill's son, Taylor, and there's a lot it's kind of interesting to see because the industry is starting to age and that next generation's coming up.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it is a family as hunting is. Eva, as hunting is, it's a family tradition. So naturally you see that next generation coming up and it's not beneath me to go to Dad's and have a great time and get a chance to shoot a deer. But sure. I learned, I probably had the epiphany a decade or so ago. It's like, I'm going up here. I don't know what any of the deer, I don't know any of the pictures. I haven't done any of the homework. Like he's saying, hey, go there. That's great. But I'm not learning anything from this. Yeah. And he's always been generous as any father would be to their son and saying, hey, come up, sit here. That's great. But they're putting in all the work for the food plots. And that's still that's an area I got a long way to learn. I haven't even scratched the surface and I've got a group around me here locally that have put in the time and, the Aaron Bennett's, the Scott, the Chase. Trevors, the Chase, the whoever so I'm learning from them, but I still haven't put in the amount of work that it takes there. Yeah. Like I got to learn that aspect of it. And I look back to Mark and Terry and they learned, they didn't have a farm until they were late, probably about my age now. That's when they got their first properties and that's when they started farming and, their grandpas were farmers. So, you know what I mean? I think they had that knowledge base somewhere tucked back in there, but they had to learn it on their own. And I'm just now starting to scratch that surface. Sure. So it's just an evolution for everybody, really.
The key is you want to I can tell you're legitimately interested in these subjects and getting better and there's increasing. A lot I don't know. Well, and just that is powerful. Just recognizing I don't know everything. In fact, I don't know enough. Yeah. And if you always have that mindset, then you're always going to be learning and you're always going to be improving. I think as we age, the trend is to just kind of go with what you got and deal with it. But life is short and you don't have to stop learning. You can keep your toolbox open for new stuff if you're willing to be open to it. Yeah. And, we live in the suburbs, right? I mean, there's no getting around that. I don't live in the country. I don't have the access, the same, you can't just go out my back door and jump on a tractor and I'm tilling up dirt. Yeah. HOA is going to be all over you.
Yeah. They'd be upset with me. So hell, I can't even have
your garbage cans.
Yeah. I get in trouble because my garbage cans are on the side of my house instead of the back. I mean,
people are terrible.
Yeah. So, it's just, but that's the life I chose to live. And I love my wife and I love the, convenience of the things that living in the suburbs have provided us. And I like living in a neighborhood and it's a young neighborhood. All my kids have fun with all the kids around us. We live next to, some family. We've chose that path, but because of that, there's a trade-off. I've spent a lot of time in a truck in the last 20 years, whether it's just driving to the office or driving to a property. And, as we're trying to find a piece to buy or, whether it's 40 acres or 80 or whatever, it's like, man, the market's so crazy right now. You can't do that hardly. Like you better have some money to jump. So, hey, okay, if you're going to do it, you got to go north. Well, that defeats the purpose because I'm trying to stay close to home so I can be home at night and be there in the morning. Like, I don't know. It's just,
and it's hard to keep tabs on a property when it's
3.5 hours away.
Yeah. So, it's hard to figure it out.
Yeah. So anyways, it's the path we chose, but the whole point going back to the turkey side of it is we both have a lot to learn, but we're both willing to do it. And that's the fun part of it. And
we hope to have some good news for our listeners and viewers before the end of season.
I was hunting with Aaron the other day at this new lease and, I was using my slate call and I thought I was sounding great. He's like, next time you shouldn't do it quite so long. I'm like, yep, still got a little to learn there. Like,
okay, mental note. Don't do that.
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
Sometimes they just come though. Like, I don't know if turkeys are curious or what, but like sometimes you get that negative response from a turkey that they show up to terrible calling. Like, oh, maybe I'm not so bad.
The sound was good. It was the length.
Gotcha.
Too much of it, apparently. We had sat there for so long and hadn't seen a thing. I was like, man, it was brutal. We went to this property. We hunted mid-morning because both of us had to take the kids to school in the morning. And so we get out there and we're sitting there. It's a new piece. And, we're sitting there and it's interesting because this field, it's super long and it's a decent size lease that we picked up. And most of it is a big giant field, like just gigantic with fingers coming off of it. And it should be a really good deer spot here in a couple years and just need some TLC. Mm-hmm. So it was pasture ground and it's been baled and all that stuff. And I think the farmer just sprayed. He's going to start planting it in beans. So anyways, we're sitting there in a ground blind and it's got a gravel road so the property has an easement on it that allows an older couple to get back to their property kind of in the timber. And so you see some traffic go through it, which is the downside of the piece. The upside is it could be really great. Downside is you never know when somebody's going to drive through.
Sure.
So anyways, we're sitting there and Bennett, he's like, man, I see there's a car pulling up. And this had happened to him 2 days before where the older couple drove through. A gobbler had stepped out, older couple drove through, gobbler disappeared. And so we had just seen a hen and then here comes a car. And I'm like, crap, man. And it's, I don't know, probably 10:30, something like that. And all of a sudden the car kind of goes out of sight and we hear it slowly driving. And then the way this easement works, you can continue to go on the gravel road into the timber, or you can then get off of it onto a 2-track, like barely gravel road that's just on our property that we're leasing. All of a sudden I'm like, is that car behind us? Like behind us? He's like, yeah. I go, did it just stop? He's like, yeah. And so Aaron's getting mad. So he gets out and he walks over there and I can hear the whole conversation. He's like 15 yards from us, this car. And he's like, he says, the property owners, are you so-and-so, the property owner's name? This guy that we lease it from, he just closed in January on the piece. And, Aaron's like, no, I'm Aaron. He's like, oh, so-and-so told me I could be here. I could cut wood here. And, really? So Aaron's like, you can't be here. And you don't have permission to be here. And we're hunting here. We're going to be hunting here every day. You can't be in here. And he's like, oh, I was in here last night, cutting wood. There were logs everywhere. He was right. The guy was in there. So no wonder we didn't see anything. He was in there at roost time. And so then he says, man, I've killed a lot of turkeys where you're at right here. And we're like, oh. So Aaron's like, look, you can't be here. I'm sorry. You're going to have to talk to so-and-so, the landowner. And so Aaron texts the landowner as soon as he gets back into the blind, and the landowner's like, no, I've never given him permission. Before I owned it, he had asked me, and I said, no, you'll have to talk to the landowner. I don't own it yet. And that in that guy's mind gave him permission. That was like 4 months ago. And that guy,
so he was killing turkey
no, I don't think he was on there who knows? But so then upon like further review and asking the previous landowner, this guy, a lot of times he just walks this giant field edge and he calls turkeys until and he'll shoot one. And he's the local that everybody knows about or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that was my first time hunting the piece. So then the landowner comes up at 1 and he stops by and says hi. And we were talking about the property and where we're going to put, our blinds and all that for the fall. It's like, so you want your money back yet? I'm like, not yet.
Thinking about it.
Let me tell you, that ain't going to happen again. You got to post the property, man. And, so we're trying to figure out a way to kind of curtail that. But
I got the same kind of guy that's hunting that hunts on the periphery of one of my local properties, but oftentimes he comes onto my side. He's shotgun hunting and doggone it, Saturday, if I wasn't, I watch these hens go by, and then at 1:01, so 1 minute past legal shooting. Yeah. And I just
hold it.
Exactly. He could be rifle. I know. This guy he's called birds out from underneath me and shot him. Got him. That kind of person, he's got a few of them. That kind of person is all over the place, unfortunately.
Yeah. Everybody deals with it, but boy, it is frustrating. And I thought, well, and then yesterday, so Aaron hunted. Saturday was a washout. He elected not to hunt in the rain. So did I.
Smart.
Sunday was so nice. I'm like, man, I got some honeydews I got to take care of here at the house. So worked in the yard all day. He went, didn't have any luck, but he had a lot of birds that they were on. And then he didn't go Monday. I didn't go Monday. That was yesterday. And he sends me he had a cell camera up, sends me a picture, 10:15, two big old longbeards walked right past where we were. Crap.
Perfect.
So
a lot of birds there.
We just got to put in the time, and it's
the thing.
An hour and 5 minutes from my house. So like, it's just far enough that, man, it would be like going on a rut hunt.
These early mornings.
That's an early morning to go before work and then try to function the rest of the day. So it's all desire. I want to kill a turkey, but man, I'm gonna have to want it a little bit more than I want it right now.
I actually stayed in bed longer on Saturday morning because I heard it raining so hard and I was so tired because I hunted probably 3 mornings last week during the week. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I need some sleep and it's raining like crazy. So I'm not going to be in a hurry. I'm getting old.
In the meantime, I'm going to just keep watching Mark's lives on the Jury Outdoors Facebook page.
Hunt vicariously through Mark.
All right.
So fair warning, this question of the day, we've had it maybe 2 other times in the past from other people. People keep asking this question. So
are we qualified to answer it? I'm looking at it. I don't know that we're the guy.
We never said anything that these are the right answers. We'll give answers.
Okay. All right. Well, the question of the day is proudly brought to you by Sportsman's Channel, the home of Winchester and Drury's Natural Born and a whole world of great outdoor shows. By the way, that's
BT
where
Dubs.
All the turkey content that Mark films in the spring, it ends up on Natural Born. So you get a little taste of the turkey tour.
I know that.
I'm just saying for the audience, Tim.
Oh, there are people listening.
Well, maybe at this point, maybe not.
Hi, I'm Steve Porter, and I was curious if you guys had any tactics on hunting henned-up turkeys during turkey season. Thank you for all the podcasts. They're great. Keep up the good work.
Well, it's interesting because that Lisa was just talking about, they are henned up. Like when I was there a few days ago, we did end up seeing a few turkeys. There were 3 jakes. They were with 2 hens. Aaron, when he was out Sunday, he saw a bunch of longbeards also with hens, wouldn't reply to his calling. And we both kind of came to the conclusion that if we waited it out, they won't be with hens forever. So kind of wait it out and they'll get off, move on to the next thing and try to get to them then. That was our big plan. Now, I'm sure there's other ways to get them to break free. Maybe I know like we've used that Tom, that turkey, turkey Tom or the avian,
Trophy Tom
from Avian X. Like Mark put a real fan in that sucker, and like he's had a ton of luck getting a gobbler to pull off and basically want to come kick some butt. If they're henned up, I don't know if the Jake decoy works as well. I don't know. I feel like
it didn't work for me on Monday because that gobbler that came in 2 minutes ago, I should say, he would not. He saw the Jake and he just would stay at a distance.
I've heard quite a bit of reports from the guys in the team that wasn't working for them either early on in the season. Word on the street. WOST street.
Nope. But we're not here to spell things for people, right? People don't come here for grammar and literacy help.
They shouldn't, anyways.
Ray I has said like if he can't get the gobblers talking, he'll challenge the hen. Sometimes the hen will get pissed off because there's another.
So just like call,
cut her off. Yep. And I've had that happen before and it works. I mean, you draw that hen in and in fact, the hen the gobbler I had a close call with last week was just following a hen that was coming over to inspect our setup. So
would you have in that instance, what kind of hen decoy would you put out, if any? Would you put out say a breeder? Would you put out a feeder? What, you know, what
wish
are you going with?
wish I knew. All I had out was the Jake and I think a feeding hen.
Yeah.
And that, you know, at that point you're just stuck with what you have. And obviously it didn't work. I mean, the hen came right through the setup and was kind of looking around and checking it out, but the gobbler wouldn't come any closer.
He was at what range?
43 yards.
Man, that's a 12 gauge range.
That's
a 20 gauge
25
range, really.
minutes. And
Joke's
like,
on you.
and I've been shooting really good with my bow out to 40 yards. And I had whispered to my buddy Josiah in the blind, I was like, he steps into 40 yards, I'm going to shoot him.
Well,
I think I'm going to throw up.
Couldn't stand it. I was like, pick something.
I wanted to. I couldn't find it. I wanted to do this.
That's what she said.
Just like turkey hunting, we need to spend more time with the soundboard.
Believe me, I could spend a decade with this thing,
Just
and there's
carry it around with
so
you.
many sounds on it that I'm always looking around. I need like my hot button area of the 3 or 4 go-tos, and and then the rest, like a row of farts or a row of like quotes from movies.
Did you ever think growing up that someday you would, as part of your profession, that you would say, I would like a row of farts?
Yes. If you don't, you're doing it wrong.
What kind of life are you hoping to have?
What kind of school are you in?
I got to have a row of farts, a row of people throwing up.
I mean,
we're children.
Listen, I may be 40 in age, but I'm 15 in spirit.
Yeah, I would give myself a solid 12-year-old grading. So the wildlife word this week. It's brought to you by Hunter Specialties, makers of the HS Strut DoD signature series of turkey calls.
Final roost.
How do turkeys, Matt, stay locked onto a branch overnight while they roost? Is it a small chemically powered gyroscope in the brain? Is it that they pick resinous trees like a pine tree or a cedar tree with sticky sap on their limbs?
I don't quit reading.
This thing is done. Is it C, a tendon that locks down as the turkey squats? Or D, they never actually fall asleep?
I'm going to have to go with C.
Ding, 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 ding. You are a winner. You win a Nomad t-shirt.
But y'all don't say that.
Okay.
You don't have a Nomad t-shirt to give away.
You're wearing it.
Oh, wait.
Congratulations, big boy.
Ding, ding. All right.
Yeah, it's crazy because you look at a diagram of a turkey's legs, and they literally there's this mechanism. It's almost like a plumber's wrench.
Yeah.
When you kind of get down on it, it bites one direction and gets tighter. It's the same kind of mechanism that when they then they kind of scrunch down like that, it locks that rear.
It's a crescent wrench.
Pretty much, yeah. And it makes a world of sense. Like that's incredible. I've wondered, like, how do they like?
I mean, it can be pretty windy, and they're just holding on.
And it's a big bird, 25 plus pounds. It catches a lot of wind up there.
Little bitty tiny legs.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like me when I go to the gym.
Got to work on leg day, bro.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for calling me bro, though.
Hey,
appreciate that.
If we're talking gym talk, you got to go, bro.
Gonna crush my protein.
All that running that you've been doing, and it's because it's got them bird legs.
I'll work on that.
Told you it wasn't working.
I need to take more fitness advice from you.
Well, obviously,
duh. You were the worst of us. We had a fish fry last week. Mr. Stealing fish from the plate before they made their way in. And every time you'd come in, you'd be like, your eyes were darting back and forth. Like, is anyone watching me? Knowing full well everyone was seeing you do it. It was not a secret.
Yeah, I didn't care for Justin's look my way every 2 minutes. I'm looking at you, Justin. Every time I went to grab some fish or some hush puppies or tin.
He was judging. But no one got burned. We had delicious crappie.
No, the roof of my mouth, I'm still.
Serves you right.
Yeah. I don't care.
You're like the dad in the Christmas Story. Won't leave the turkey alone before it's done.
So long since I've had a good fish fry, man, since basically last turkey season. So,
well, I caught some sunfish here a few days ago and we deep fried them and they just were not as good as the crappie. Proving once again, crappie next to walleye, ultimate freshwater
It was
fish.
good. I'll tell you that. The whole plan was we had this.
We don't need to go into details about the larger context.
I'm not going to name names, but there were 4 people that could have killed a turkey in preparation for this cookout. not one
None of them
person
did.
killed a turkey. So luckily Tim can fish, and luckily Alan can grill, and luckily there's a grocery store down the street, and we went with other options.
Yeah, we would not make it at a wild turkey cook-off.
I love people that say, I hunt for sustenance. It's like, well,
God help you.
I'd be screwed.
100%. Well, should we tease the next show or should we leave it a surprise?
No, we can. I'm excited about it. So we've been, I don't know if any of you guys follow Blood Origins on Instagram. I'm sure he's got a Facebook page too. I follow him on Instagram, Robbie, but this guy is really interesting.
Making some waves.
Yeah, really interesting. And he takes an approach of conservation and issues that we face, not only here domestic, but abroad, Africa or other countries, issues that hunters and non-hunters, basically the conflict between hunters and non-hunters, and what happens because of these conflicts. And he takes an approach. It's a very educated, he's a PhD, very educated guy. And he takes the approach.
Learned doctor.
That's right. Do we have that soundbite?
I don't think so.
We need to, Alan, we need that. All right. Nodding his head. We need that for next week. I'm going to roll with it. But
Roll of farts, learned doctor.
so basically he's taken an approach of a very educated, I don't know the best way to put it, but basically it's not an argument, right? It's how can I help educate a non-hunter on the issues that we face as a society as a whole? Like, hey, okay, overcrowding, population increasing from humans and the decline of natural habitat for animals. Where do these things converge? How does that conflict affect us, and why is there a need for the hunter conservation, plan that we have put in place here?
Sure. He's solutions focused, which is a rare thing. We got plenty of people that are throwing bombs and adding to the fire, but Robbie seems to be actually coming with solutions.
Yeah. So I look forward to it. He's going to be over the top of my head. You might be able to match wits with him.
We'll see.
I love following him. He asked me to be on his podcast here this week. And I said, man, he's like, well, we throw throw issues at you. I'm like, I'm going to need those issues ahead of time. I go, reason why I follow you is to find out what's wrong. Or what
I don't know. What do you think, Robbie?
what these issues are. Like, he's shedding light on so many things that I have no idea, were even happening. Yeah. So it's like, you can't trust the news these days to give you the information you need. Like that's the beauty of the internet and finding these people that go and dig for this information and present it in a way that anybody can latch onto it. So anyways, I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a really interesting podcast.
Yeah. So definitely tune in. And if you're new to the show, sometimes we forget that new people are joining the show. We've got 207 episodes for people to listen to. So you can go back in the back catalog and listen to anything you want.
And we're picking up steam, man. We're gaining steam. So tell your friends.
If your friends like farts organized in a row, we're going to get there. It's one of my favorites. Catastrophic is... There's one you seem to shy away from. And I'm not sure why.
You can hear somebody laughing on that clip. I think it's me.
Yeah, because you're ruined.
Laugh.
Because you realize you've ruined this young man's life. Scott is your faithful camera guy.
He's not that young.
He's younger. He does a great job.
He does.
And he sits in a box blind with you. And then
all that protein, bro.
Satan comes out of you. And all you can do is giggle.
A lot of protein in Oberly dog. Hey, living my best life. Man, that's the downfall of every camera guy is having to hunt out of a box blind that's basically soundproof.
Yeah, that's...
Thanks, Muddy.
Run some ozone indoors.
We better move on.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for...
After that serious plug for Robbie. I hope he doesn't hear this.
He won't.
Good point.
All right. So tune in next week. It'll be a serious show. We promise. Maybe we'll have a turkey kill to report.
Maybe.
And we'll go from there.
Could go either way. I did talk about going back up to Dad's. So after that whole thing where I said I need to learn how to do it on myself. Well, season's about to end and Maddie likes some turkey breasts. So
I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but I thought it'd be cool to come up and see you.
Oh, I've already asked.
Bring your grandson.
No, he's staying at home. It's time to kill a turkey.
It's time to get serious.
We can't pull him out of school twice, Tim.
Arbitrary rules.
All right.
Parenting.
Until next time.
Sorry.
Hope you have better luck than us. Peace out. That was a quality podcast.
Oh, yeah.
DeerCast is giving you the chance to hunt with Mark and Terry Drury. Head over to DeerCast.com to enter.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV was brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.